Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles, where today, for your viewing entertainment in this Tier 10 domination battle on the Sea of Fortune map, we have Captain Stevie X in the French Tier technically 11 supership the Patrie. I'm probably mispronouncing it. It's difficult to know how it's possible to mispronounce something that only has two syllables, but if it's French and I can mispronounce it, I'll have a damn good go. The Patrie is actually quite refreshing as superships go because it doesn't come with a bullshit gimmick, the same as all of the other superships. I mean, I'm not saying this is an entirely 100% bullshit-free battle, and I'm not talking about the presence of a carrier on each side. Although the carriers in this battle, HMS Malta, are 100% bullshit personified. Because like the cargo at Tier 8, they come at you with such massively huge squadrons, and it's next to impossible to make a dent in them. But no, I'm talking about the presence of two of the destroyers on the enemy team. Now, I've covered one of them before, but it was while recording this battle that I first noticed it and thought, what the hell is that? Now, what the hell is that is something that I regularly say when I'm looking at a World of Tanks battle, and honestly, years ago, I gave up trying to keep track of all of the new and varied bullshit in World of Tanks, because, I mean, there's a new, completely 100% made-up premium tank that seems to be released every month in World of Tanks, and has been for some time now. But World of Warships has been largely free of that, at least until lately. Oh, and here comes the Malta. I mean, it's not coming for him, but... Oh, he's actually shot... Oh, wait, no, don't get excited. I know he shot some aircraft down. Those are patrol fighters. They have no health, no armour, and no point. But anyway, as I was saying, the bullshit has been largely absent from World of Warships, as Stevie gets some shots out at the Stalingrad over there, until relatively recently. And it's those two destroyers on the enemy team that personify what I'm talking about. So, holy shit! He just did 77,000 damage to a Stalingrad! Whoa! Whoa! That'll be these 12 431mm guns in action then. Yeah, this is a very, very well-armed ship. More on that later. Can he do the same against the Aegea? No, talk about feast or famine. Oh well, anyway. Yes, the two destroyers on the enemy team, the Jaeger and the Gdansk. I actually had to look them up because I had no idea what they were. I mean, based on the name of the Gdansk, it's obviously a Polish ship, named after the Polish shipyard town. But the Jaeger is actually an Austro-Hungarian design, and that alone, bearing in mind that it's Tier 9, the fact that it's Austro-Hungarian should give you some idea as to exactly how deep the bullshit goes here, because the Austro-Hungarian Empire hasn't existed for quite some time. It's a 1917 design. It's a First World War destroyer that they just stuck some Halland torpedoes on and said, there you go, you're Tier 9. And the Gdansk... it's not quite as bullshitty. It's a 1930s Polish design that they said, what if you stuck some modern weapons and sensors on? There you go. Tier 10 destroyer. What? What are you looking at me like that for? I mean, there is some precedent for having early 20th century designs at Tier 10. I mean, the Yamato was a 1930s design and Japan's got it at Tier 10, but that's because it's the fucking Yamato. At one point, did have the biggest guns in the game, but, well, you know, that power has long since been creeped. Oh, there's that gear again. He didn't take the hint the first... well, he got away with it the first time. He only took about 1,800 damage. Took a little bit more than 1,800 damage that time, but nothing devastating. I mean, this is a battleship after all, and sinking cruisers is what battleships were for. I was wondering at this stage in the battle, is that a gear being brave because he knows something that we don't? Is there a lot of backup and support that just hasn't been spotted yet, like the Z-44 for example, but the Malta's aircraft are overhead? And it's just the gear in the Z-44. Huh. Oh well. Never interrupt the enemy when they're making a mistake. That cross-map fire from the Prinz Ruprecht is getting a little bit annoying though. If he wises up and switches to the armour piercing, he could do a significant amount of damage, but, well, you know, he isn't, so he isn't. Keep an eye on him though, but, do you have shots? I do apologise for all the mouse wheel scrolling here from Stevie, by the way. I appreciate that it does wind people up, but trust me, it's going to be worth sticking with. So the Aegir and the Z-44 are being extremely ambitious on that flank. And it looks like Stevie is definitely switching to the Prinz Ruprecht because he is the biggest threat, or at least he's got his guns pointing that way while he increases his angling against the Prinz Ruprecht, because the Patry only has 32mm of armour. It is like the Prinz Ruprecht, which has worse armour, very vulnerable to large caliber armour piercing. Although, yeah, he's gotten away with it. This is fine. I mean, he's taken some damage. His heel's on cooldown. He's using the engine boost though, and here comes the Aegir. So only the rear turret is available to shoot at him. And the dispersion isn't amazing, but it was still 6,000 damage. The front turrets have now... Oh dear. Oh. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Not quite as spectacular as what he did to the Stalingrad. And it's the Malta who gets the kill. So that means the only threat remaining on this flank is that Z-44. Now that's a significant threat when you're in a battleship. So hopefully the carrier is going to continue to make his life fun and engaging. Meanwhile, shots out at the Montana, who goes undetected at the critical moment, but there's another 30,000 damage. The Montana's starting to have a bad day. Where did that Prinz Ruprecht go? And where did the Z-44 go? I mean, somebody's looking at Stevie right now. And the carrier has aircraft overhead, but he hasn't respotted the Z-44s. Oh, wait, no, oh, that's really unlucky. Oh, that poor Z-44. He did absolutely the right thing. He got the hell out of there, knowing that the carrier had aircraft overhead, but it didn't make any difference, did it? Oh, he's got some torpedoes out. Stevie's going to take one of those. Yeah, there's very little utility on the Patry, but I mean, that's true of most French battleships. They've got a speed boost. Well, the Patry does. And that's it. No radar, no hydro. Torpedoes do tend to take you by surprise in this thing. And there's his second kill. So that's the threat on this flank, completely neutralised. It's cost him a fair amount of health. Oh, and he took a nasty chunk there from the enemy carrier. Again, only 32mm armour pretty much everywhere, so bombs are really nasty. Large caliber armour piercing is really nasty. Hell, even medium caliber high explosive is really nasty when you only have 32mm of plating. But the ship is fast and it does get an engine boost. Malta's coming back with torpedo bombers this time. Where did the Prinz Ruprecht go? It's still out there somewhere. AA guns active, priority sector active. He's actually shot an aircraft down. Looks like the Malta's going for the side shot. This does give him the opportunity to shoot a few more down, but the squadrons on the Malta are so big, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. There's the Prinz Ruprecht. Where did the Malta's aircraft go? He shot 7 of them down. Oh, lordy, lordy, lordy. Another big hit on the Prinz Ruprecht over there, which, let me remind you, it's basically a cruiser with a battleship skin on it. It's very, very powerful ship, but it has even less armour than the Patry. Also, can we just take a moment to acknowledge the fact that they did actually manage to shoot down all of the Malta's aircraft? And I say they because it wasn't just him. I mean, the Patry does have strong AA, but he's right next to a Moskva, which also has strong AA. And the Malta dithered so long trying to get the perfect angle on its torpedo drop that it basically gave them a chance to actually make their AA work. Either that or he just torpedoed the Moskva and we weren't watching and didn't see it happen. Now Stevie does have a big problem here. He's actually activated his engine boost to ensure he doesn't slip outside of the cap circle, because they really do need to take this cap. They are down to 175 points and he's not doing it alone, the Moskva is with him. But this makes him a sitting duck for the Prinz Ruprecht, who unfortunately has just made a serious error of judgment. Because the Prinz Ruprecht is a cruiser with a battleship skin, and sinking cruisers is what ships like the Patry are for. Hopefully he will make that same mistake he does, and it's the Moskva who finishes him off. Now that's good news. Obviously they've just sunk a tier 9, yeah, let's call it a battleship. And once Stevie weathers the final storm of secondary shots from the Prinz Ruprecht, he and the Moskva are going to be able to flip this cap circle. But having flipped the cap circle, they're actually 2 points worse off than they were before they sunk the Prinz Ruprecht, which is of course because right before the Prinz Ruprecht died, the team's Daring got torpedoed, which actually put the team down to 130 points. However, they do now have a cap circle under their belt, so they do have at least some points coming in, aside from any kills that they managed to achieve. That's the only good news they've got, of course, because the enemy team are still 300 points ahead and going ahead more with every passing second because they have 2 cap circles and they have a 1 kill lead. Why are the battleships and large cruisers flipping the cap circles? Why aren't the destroyers doing this? Well, the destroyers are all dead, obviously. All 4 of them. The Daring was the last destroyer left alive on the team, as Stevie gets a couple of shots out at the Iowa over there, who is presenting a rather juicy target and takes a not insignificant punishing for it. There's another exchange of kills. The Moskva, good on him over there, has just managed to nail the enemy Gdansk. Unfortunately, the enemy Colbert just took out the British Tier 9 battle cruiser, the Duncan. Oh, there's the enemy carrier. Oh, choices, choices. The Iowa's angled away now. Although, yeah, it's not doing him that much good. But there's the Malta. Oh. The Malta's probably an easier kill. I mean, like most carrier players, he's completely unaware that he's actually in danger, and he's just sitting there. And the Malta's a big enough ship that these shells may not over-penetrate. There we go, that's what we like to see. Is he aware that he's getting shot at? Let's see if he starts moving. Nope. He'll be sitting there flying his aircraft around thinking, why are those alarms going off? Alright, let's give him all 3 turrets. See how he likes that. Oh baby, a triple. Shit. That's, how much damage? 321,000. Right, Iowa next. He is the most significant threat because you want to turn around and help your teammates with those guys up to the north, but that means presenting a broadside to them. Oh, he's been spotted. Oh, but it wasn't by the Iowa. He gets some shots out. It doesn't look... No, the Iowa is not going to be able to return fire. How much? Another Citadel. 342,000 damage. And he's now pretty safe from any fire from the Iowa, who is too close to the island that he just sailed behind to be able to fire shots over. There's the Jaeger, the World War I designed Austro-Hungarian Empire, apparently Tier 9 destroyer. There goes the radar from the Moskva, and that's a lot of torpedoes. Stevie pops the engine boost because he's going to need speed to increase his manoeuvrability to have any chance of dodging these. I think he's probably going to actually no. Oh, that one scraped the paint. But that was beautiful. Dodged every single one. That Jaeger's going to be less than impressed. He's managed to get himself spotted again. Shots out. These are, of course, armor-piercing shells, so any that hit are guaranteed to over-penetrate, and none of them hit anyway. The Moskva, of course, has that guy zeroed in. He's just waiting to reload, as is Stevie. I mean, this ship is basically just a big Republique with an extra gun turret. And I do mean big. It's the 3rd biggest ship in the game after the USS United States and the Hanover. And, oh dear, that Jaeger is... should have just dodged Jaeger. He's enjoying getting carpet bombed by the Malta. And he's... Well, his only choice now is to slow down and smoke up and hope everybody misses. I don't fancy his chances. Ooh, torpedo. Oh, of course, Halland torpedoes on a 1917 destroyer. He's not going to dodge all of those. Ooh, shit, that one was close. He's down to 3,000 health. He gets the heal off. The Jaeger's still out there. Go on, Malta. Do what carriers do and make life fun and interesting for destroyers. Yeah, there it is. And now the Colbert. Colbert's going to be thinking, oh, battleship on low health, ready the high explosive spam. Help me, Moskva. Swings the guns around. Fortunately, the Colbert's focused on the Delaware, and anyway, the Moskva's got this. And there goes both the Delaware and the Moskva gets the Colbert. I should have mentioned, by the way, Stevie's team actually had 2 carriers, the Malta and the Delaware, a hybrid battleship. And speaking of battleships, that is not what you want to see coming around the corner when you're on less than 10,000 health in anything. And Stevie's pretty much going to have to deal with it himself. I mean, you'd like to think the Montana's going to chase him and maybe get crossfire from the Moskva, but the Moskva's got his hands full with the Iowa. So, I mean, the carrier's going to help. And the carrier is helping. Although, it's not enough. You can see what Stevie's doing here. Oof, he's trying to take it on the belt, and he is. I mean, he took some damage. But he's also trying to knock out the Montana's guns. And his secondaries are setting fires, and that's basically all the secondaries are going to do, because the majority of the Patry's secondaries are 100mm guns that only have 17mm of penetration. You could argue that maybe he should have tried to go for the waterline shot there, and maybe score some citadels, but he tried to take the guns out again. Unfortunately, he failed, and the second that Montana reloads, he is an ex-battleship. However, between Stevie and the carrier, they did manage to reduce that Montana to fairly low health, and I don't know whether or not he has any heals left. And the other good news is that the Moskva won the fight against the Iowa. And the Montana is on very low health. The problem with the Moskva, of course, is that he now has to reverse into combat, because there really isn't time or space in that narrow channel for him to turn around. And the Montana knows he's there. Let's go and see things from the Moskva's perspective. The Moskva could just win this by ramming the Montana, but again, he's got a problem because he's reversing into him. And the Montana isn't slow and could quite easily avoid it. Oh, but he doesn't even have... He's angled very, very nicely. He's going to have to unangle a bit to get the front turrets firing. But this is a Moskva, after all. And the Montana's guns are all pointing the wrong way as he swings around. Doesn't get a shot off, and it's the Malta's dive bombers who once again secure the kill. So that's a victory, thanks in no small part to some great teamwork from the captain of the Moskva there. And while that is certainly Captain Stevie's personal damage record with 381,000 damage done, I think, and I'm not entirely sure on this, so feel free to fact check me and come back with an actually Jingles, but I believe that might also be the global third highest amount of damage ever done in this ship. And considering that was a regular battle, not an arms race match, that's even more impressive. Also, you know, 3,500 base XP. I mean, that's pretty nice as well. More than 2,000 base XP for the Moskva as well. That's also something to be proud of. And yes, fine, the Malta played well too. What do you want from me? Anyway, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Personal damage record, possibly the third highest amount of damage ever done in the French, technically I suppose, tier 11 supership, the Patry. And I hope you all enjoyed it, because that's it for today. As always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.